and welcome to Quays News. Coming up on today's programme. For the first time in the history of the NHS, doctors have staged an all-out strike.
We look at the increase of women hosting webcam shows to get more money under their belts.
And Manchester celebrates St George's Day, attracting record-breaking crowds. The longest jury conclusion in British legal history. The jury in the Hillsborough inquest has just ruled that 96 football fans were unlawfully killed 27 years ago. For 2 years, jurors have been hearing evidence on what actually happened at Sheffield Wednesday's stadium on the 15th of April 1989.
The verdict comes as a relief to bereaved families of the 96. The jury answered 14 questions, and to help us understand today's verdict, we are joined by Rachel Foy. So Rachel, what are these 14 questions?
Well, a lot of them come down to which the blame lies on. So the police, the ambulance service, even the structural engineers of the stadium, they've been part. The answer to that question was yes, it was unsafe. The features were unsafe. The Sheffield Wednesday staff have also been questioned about it. And a lot of the questions come down to a yes in favour of the police being blamed for it. The only question that was answered no was there any behaviour on part of the football supporters? And that the dangerous situation was they were not part of that. They were trying to save their own lives by clambering out, pushing other people out of the gates and trying to ultimately save each other. So,
after this verdict today, what was the reaction from the people connected to the victims, the families?
Yeah, a lot of it was relief. Scenes from outside the Warrington courts have come out that people have been singing You'll Never Walk Alone, the Liverpool anthem. And a lot of them have said that it's a closure, really. For 27 years, they've been denied this verdict of that their loved ones were part of this. They were blamed for it, but now it's come out that they're not blamed for it at all.
So what happens next?
A lot of them will go through their own law procedures. They might take up their own law firms and deal with it as each person. Others might just get the closure and think, yeah, no, I'm happy with that. I'm happy that now eventually it's come out. But some of the families haven't even been able to see the end of it. Like one lady, her son died, and then last year and the year before, when the BBC Panorama did the show, they interviewed her, and then a year later she died, so she never got to see the verdict. But it's just nice that other people have carried on. They celebrating it every year. They've remembered those 96 people, and I imagine they will for many years to come. So
it's been a massively long ordeal, 27 years. Why has it taken this long for a verdict to be heard?
Well, we had 2 inquests beforehand. One was overruled. The verdict for that was that it was accidental. The second verdict didn't even arise as an inquest. Tony Blair, the Prime Minister, said that there was no need. It had come out that it was accidental and that there wasn't enough evidence. However, some of that evidence had been buried. The BBC's footage of the match day had been too distressing to witness, to show, so that was superseded. And then a lot of statements and things were changed. Practically it was the police's fault, but no one wanted to admit that at the time, so it was alleged that it was kind of the fans' fault ultimately. But now that's been overturned, which is nice to see.
Thank you so much for joining us, Rachel Foy. For the first time in the history of the NHS, doctors have staged an all-out strike. The walkout comes in protest of new junior doctor contracts imposed by Health Secretary Jeremy Hunt. Junior doctors walked out of routine and emergency care, including A&E, maternity and intensive care, at 8 a.m. this morning. Today's strike will finish at 5 p.m, but there is further strike action due to take place tomorrow between the same hours. Our health correspondent Paul Robinson is at Salford to discuss the strikes.
Thanks. Every single junior doctor in the UK is currently on strike. Now, That isn't to say the positions aren't being filled. Consultant doctors are trying to take up the positions left by the striking juniors, but they can't do the entire job themselves. If you do get ill, if you do need to go to a hospital, you will get seen, but there's going to be a long wait time. Back to you at the studio.
You may have noticed that all trams across Greater Manchester stopped running for over 4 hours yesterday, with thousands of people thought to have been affected. A communications error at Old Trafford shut down the entire Metrolink network between 12 and 4 p.m, as staff were not able to monitor the tram's movements. Bus and train services helped out the stranded passengers by accepting their original tickets. Transport officials warned the public not to travel during rush hour, as a lack of trams meant a large amount of crowds and queues.
Rising numbers of women have been stripping down online in order to get more money under their belts. Sam Morris reports.
It's the billion-pound part of the sex industry that's closer to home than you might have expected. Thousands of women in the UK are signed up as webcam models. Online, they take off their clothes or commit sexual acts for money from strangers. Often done anonymously or in secret, growing numbers of the public are signed up to be part of this virtual sex industry from their own homes. One webcam model, under the screen name Jenny X19, explained her experiences with the business.
I'd heard people talking about it as a good way to make money. It didn't bother me while I was doing it, but then afterwards I kind of felt a bit like, not like used, but like a bit like weird about it. I think it was just like a shock to the system. Like I think I'd just been like totally ignoring what I was doing, and then like it kind of hit me after I did it. I think if you're totally comfortable with yourself and totally confident, then it is a good way to make money, and it is an easy way to make money.
Models are recruited worldwide, performing to an international audience. Some models do it casually, yet some models doing it professionally claim to earn up to a couple £100,000.
In the UK, the industry has grown to a net worth £1.1 billion, almost double what it was 10 years ago. Just one website states that it recruits on average 42 new British female models a month. But is the public aware of how large the business is?
Around like $750,000, $1 million.
What if I told you it was 1.1 billion?
Then I wouldn't believe you.
I tell you, I wouldn't expect it. I think it's just, it's more like £1 million or £2 million I would assume. So
I think not a lot of people know a lot about it, but I think it's going on quite a lot behind closed doors. So it's worth quite a bit, really.
With the British camming industry expected to double again within the next 10 years, it is possible that this form of modelling could become a norm in the UK.
A new law means that all dogs must now be microchipped in order to find lost pets more efficiently. Owners who have not had their dogs microchipped will be told to do so within 21 days or face a £500 fine and potential criminal prosecution. Dogs should still, of course, wear collar tags, but microchips work on a database system and are the only way to permanently and reliably identify a dog.
Cost of £20 for microchipping, if you spread it out over the lifetime of a dog, let's say the average life expectancy 14 years, you're talking just over £1 a year. It's invaluable. Once the law comes in April, I think the top tips for owners would be, first of all, regularly have your dog scanned to check that the chip is working. The other top tip has got to be make sure that your details are updated. If you've got a list of people to notify when you move house or when you change your mobile phone number, stick the chip company on that list. Make it a priority.
Manchester's annual St George's Day parade attracted a record-breaking crowd despite heavy rain on Sunday. Organisers say roughly 25,000 people turned up to witness the patriotic parade through the city. Misha was there, joining in with the celebrations.
The St George's Day Parade and Street Festival is always a big tradition in Manchester. This year it's led by St George himself, and the parade went through Varley Street, Piccadilly and the Northern Quarter before ending back at Varley Street. He was followed in the parade by his jesters, fair maidens and knights of old.
Don't be trying to come out in the rain. The rain is what makes Manchester. It's known as the rainy city. Yeah, next time. off your backside, come and get involved with the parade or the festival, doesn't matter, but most of all come out and enjoy it.
The St George's Day Parade has always been a big thing in Manchester, with it only getting bigger and bigger each year. Not only is it the parade anymore, but there's entertainment for families, there's markets full of food, and not even the weather can stop people coming out to celebrate this great day.
The official parade had ended, Piccadilly Gardens was still buzzing with all the crowds. It was also full of different forms of entertainment, ranging from bands to puppet masters to gondola goers, all of which amuse the crowds.
We've had to soldier on through the rain, but it's been alright, as well as it could go in the rain.
Exotic food stands had been brought into the Manchester markets to celebrate the St George's Day Parade and make sure no one went hungry.
My boss found about it and he came here and I came with him for the St George's Day because of the parade and all. Because of the weather, it was ruined the parade, but it was okay. Even the weather, it wasn't good and it was raining all day. People were enjoying it anyway.
Even with the weather not being at its best, hundreds of people still went out of their way to join the parade and celebrate St George's Day.
The Milltown to Moors Sprint Triathlon returned to Saddleworth on Sunday. It's the second year the event has taken place. Bethan braved the rainy conditions to find out more.
Many spectacular athletes rode to victory on Sunday at the Sprint Triathlon in Oldham. The triathlon was back for a second year after popular demand, with competitors coming from across the northwest.
The Saddleworth Sprint Triathlon started with a splash today, with over 200 competitors taking part in 3 events. That was a 400 metre swim, a 20k bike ride and finishing with a 5k sprint.
Amateurs, sport enthusiasts and professional athletes pooled together to make the day the best yet, with many athletes taking part to raise money for charity.
My job really is not just sport, it's about promoting health and physical activity. So this is quite a serious event, but we have programmes for beginners, absolute beginners, maybe who are not doing anything in their lives at the moment, and we can get them on jogging, walking, then maybe swimming. And this kind of event motivates people and people can aspire to compete in this tough challenge. I've just been listening to a few of the people who are just spectating and they're saying like, I'm going to learn to do this next year. So that's good. It's only our second year. We've certainly had really good reports. Martin Kane, who I mentioned before, he said he's travelled up and down the country and this is one of the best organised. I think it's because we have such community support. Rather than just us facilitating it, it's the community support that's out on the route.
The competitors came from all walks of life, aging between 18 and 78, and the community of Oldham came out in force to show their support.
In preparation for next week, because I'm doing a sprint triathlon next week. I'm just running today, so.
Just wanted to do one. It's the first one I've ever done, so.
Because I enjoy doing them. I've done quite a few over the years.
Yeah, how many have you done?
It's a local challenge, so. Over time, probably about 30 or so, but since the 1980s. Yeah, only short ones.
Despite the rain, the athletes pushed on and tried their hardest to complete all 3 events and have fun.
And now here's Martina with the latest weather.
Thanks, Jess. Welcome to the weather forecast. Quite a chilly and windy day today, as you can see. Temperatures will be around 9 degrees, but there's going to be plenty of sunshine throughout this first part of the day. However, going through this afternoon and evening, more clouds will settle in, bringing a few showers around Manchester and Salford. Cool temperatures brought by cold gusts of wind coming from the Arctic will remain throughout the whole of this week. But going into Thursday and Friday, it will get a bit warmer as these winds will change direction. We'll then see temperature rising of 1 or 2 degrees, but rain and wind will still be there. That's all from me now. Back to you, Bethan and Jess, in the studio.
And finally, a tower block in Liverpool set to be demolished is still standing. Controlled explosions were due to topple 2 high-rises. The Churchill Tower block in C4 fell 2 hours after the explosion.
But Montgomery Tower is still standing after 3 unsuccessful demolition attempts. This is the moment the planned demolition didn't go to plan. That's all for Quays News. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
Goodbye.